Thank you. Next, we have Raghav, and Raghav is a front-end developer, and he loves to work on web technologies. He's a web developing head for GDSC MIT. Next up, we have Mr. Kaushal, and he is the web development lead for GDSC VIT Chennai. He has 3 years of web development experience and has worked on real-world problems, a lot many at that. And he is now working his way through AI and ML. So I'll just hand over the podium to Srijit. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Hi, hello guys, and yeah, the event is started, so I know how excited you guys are. So let's say, like, first of all, why are you there? Why are you like up for this event? Let me tell you, like, web dev. Like, I started web dev seriously. If I can tell you, I started web dev in my sixth grade, but lacking in guidance, so that I couldn't grow as fast as that. So I have to master my web dev skills only after 12th standard. Before that, like, why I chose web is something like it gives you the opportunity to write code for creating the code and see it on the browser. Wow, I can see something visually which you can't get in other, like, C or C++. It's boring where wait for the output and just strings. But in web, it's always UI friendly, and like UI friendly in the sense you will get the visual right in front of you. So, and also, if you have a visual output for a code, then it's very easy for other people. You can really solve real world problems with web. That's interesting. Like, if you have an idea and you will discover new web skills from that idea, just write out your solution in web. So that's what web is fun, and like, it will be a creative experience for you guys when you develop something. So yeah, then I will move on to the event now. So let me tell you, you don't have to worry about just typing in from the video presentation we are doing. Like, you don't have to type anything from this. The entire code used in this presentation is readily available in the GitHub repository. The link in chat box right now, so please check it out. And Raghav, can you just open the repository, guide them how to really switch branches and see the. Yeah, this is our repository, and on the leftmost side you will find the main button which will list all the branches. Raghav, can you just go to the CS branch? Yeah, right here. So you will find 3 folders. These codes are nothing but we will have, so that you can refer to those codes. You can find the exact same code which we used in the presentation, and it's ready, and you can just download it, or you can even use the GitHub repository or clone it, anything already available in the repository. And let's get started. Raghav, you can come back to the presentation. Okay, I think Raghav is ready to start HTML. Is yours. You can start from here.
Oh yeah, thank you, Srijit. As you know, Srijit said why he chose web development. Same is the case with me. I am Raghav. Well, I hadn't introduced myself. I am Raghav Sharma, and I am web developer lead at DSC MIT Jammu. So in this event, I'll be telling you about HTML and what is basically HTML and how to use HTML in web development. So what is HTML basically? You might ask what is HTML. So HTML basically is the abbreviated word for hypertext markup language. What is markup language? It is just a language which is used to differentiate between contents and things. HTML is one of the standard markup languages which is just used to display the designed thing, content on a web browser. So basically, HTML is just a set of tags. We use different tags. There are many different tags, which are basically which are used to display the content, whatever we are having in our file, to show it on the browser. So tags are basically just like keywords with special ability, special powers to show our things on the web browser. We'll discuss about tags later. Uh, so these are the basic HTML tags which are required creation of an HTML page. So first of all is the HTML. HTML tag is like a root tag. It defines a page, a text document, a simple text document to be a HTML document. When we use an HTML tag, it differentiate it and it gives it assign it as to be HTML, so the browser can read it. So yes, it is an HTML tag, HTML document. Then comes the head tag. These tags are basically used in the boilerplate of any of our web, any of our HTML document. The second one, tag. Head tag basically contains the metadata of our web page. Metadata is the data, like whatever we are going to tell the browser about our page, how it will look. It contains that information in it. Title, as name suggests, gives the title to our page, whatever page we are building. It gives the title to that page. It document, like we are creating any page, it gives the title to that page. So then comes the body tag. Body tag contains the basically all the code which is to be written in the web page. It just defines the document's body, things we are going to add in it. It is contained in body tag. Then comes the div. It is like a container box. We'll discuss div tag later in the slides. But yeah, it's a like a container which you use to contain the different tags in it. So this is the basic boilerplate how how a HTML document looks in the start. Here you can see the HTML tag, which is in the start of the document. Then comes the head tag. The head tag contains all the metadata about the web page which we are going to create. Then comes the title. This real dev takes shortcuts. It might be the title of a web page, so it is a title. Then comes the body. In the body, we are using header, main, footer, etc. All the tags are contained in this tag. Then HTML again to complete this document, right? Now let's get into some of the basic tags which we are used in creation of a web page. So first of all, we'll talk about the P tag, the paragraph tag. The paragraph tag basically does what it is, just to add all the text which we are adding in our web page, to synchronize the text and add in our web page to display it on our web on the browser. So I have
Excuse me,
created.
Raghav. I'm really sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
Can you guys confirm whether the slides are visible to you or not? Can I please see yes? Can I see yes flooding in the chat? So there were many people who were having trouble in seeing the slides. It's fine, right? Awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
Sorry for interrupting you, Raghav. Please
No
go
problem.
ahead.
just the internet connection problem. You can go ahead, Raghav.
Yeah, sure. So I was talking about paragraph tag. So paragraph tag, as I told, it's just to add the blocks of text, whatever text we are writing, whatever. When we go on a website, we see a lot of text written. Most of the text is, almost all the text is written using this P tag. If you want to or how to use it, you can go to other GitHub repository. It is tagged as HTML01. In the repository, you can clone the page and see how it works. I'll also tell you about this here. See, this is the HTML page I have created for paragraph tag. If I'm using VS
Sorry
Code.
to interrupt again.
Yes.
Can you just zoom
Yeah,
into
no.
the VS Code?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Fine.
Raghav, that's fine.
You can use any of the that you want. So when I run the code in it, you can see the paragraph which is written, right? So if I change, like if I just copy it again.
Like we can't see the window. Like I think you
Oh,
haven't shared the entire screen.
Okay, then I'll share the entire screen again. Sorry for the inconvenience. Entire- is it visible now? Yeah, sure. Talking about this is the document how to write a paragraph tag. This is the earlier head tag which contains some metadata. Title tag, I have written title here, paragraph tag. So whenever I run this code, it will be shown paragraph tag on my web browser. Body, in the body I have used this paragraph tag. I'll just copy it and again. So see, I have made 2 paragraphs, and whenever I run the code here, see the tag. If you can see, if you can confirm, is the browser page visible?
Yeah, it's visible. It's visible.
Yeah, sure. So here you can see the title tag written on the browser, and these are the 2 paragraphs which I wrote in the editor. So this is how we to use a paragraph tag. So now moving forward comes the list tag. So list tag is basically list tag help us to create a list, like we create a list in list of things for us, goods we can buy or something like this, shop something, or these things like these are created using list tag in our browser, also in our websites also. If we see list of links or something, the sequence, these are created mostly list tags. So there are 3 types of tags which we use front end in an HTML. First is the ordered list, second is unordered, and third one is descriptive. So what each of the list do, ordered list has a list using number, by adding number like 1, 2, 3, and unordered list does not add numbers, it just add bullet points or arrows or something like that list. Whereas the description list is there's one main topic, then the description about the list, in the list. Like here you can see it is coffee, then the description is black or drink. Whatever we can add in like this in the description list. So here for the list tag you can go to HTML02 in the GitHub repository. So I'm not going to run this list tag. Is it visible, right?
Yes, Raghav, it's visible.
So here we can see the first one was order list. So 1, 2, 3. The numbering has been done to the list. Our list like 1 coffee, second tea, third is milk, and the second one was unordered list, which where bullet points have been added in the list, like bullet coffee, bullet tea, and milk. And the third is description. So
Raghav, can you also zoom in the browser tab?
Yeah,
that's
the third one was coffee. Like when we added coffee in the description list, it has added coffee there, and with the hyphen, it has added the description of the coffee. And similarly with the milk, it has done. So this was about the list tag. Now moving further comes the link tag. So whenever we use a website, whenever we go to website and internet, there are things linked. Every web page is linked to other. Whenever we click on an image or a tag, it links us to another image or another page, another website sometimes. So all this is done using link tag. Mostly we use in link tag, that is this a tag, to link the things. And how it is done, we use this a tag. Then in href we write the URL for the web page or the website which we want to link to here in the href tag, and the text, whatever text we want to add to the that thing. So let me show you how it's done right here. So here I have taken this anchor tag, and in the href I have added the URL for the html.com website for html.com, and in the text I have added this line. This is a link. So when I will run this on the browser, it will show something like this. So when I will click this link, it will redirect me to this the link of the URL link, that is the html.com website. So you can add anything here. You can just add. You can add link. So I had done this since ABC. It will do the same thing. So this was with the link tag. So now we'll talk about the table tag. We might have seen many times the data on a website are arranged in rows and column in the tabular data form. So how to do that? We use a table tag. So in table tag, the syntax is something like this. We use a table tag in starting to add the table name, table to show it that it is a table. Then we add tr. Tr is to table row, the row which is to be added in the table. Then we go add table. Th stands for table heading. The heading in the row, whichever row is created, whatever the heading is, it is given in the th tag. Then comes td. The td tag is the table data. The data under the rows in the column is added under td tag. So again, let me show you how this one is done.
Also, Raghav,
Yeah,
could you kindly go through A tag once more? People
yeah,
want to know
sure.
about it once again. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So as I told you, A tag is the anchor tag called as anchor tag, in which we have this href. Href stands help us to refer to the website, whatever the link we have to add here. Let me show you. If I add, sorry, A tag. So the A tag comes up with href. Href contains the URL link for the whatever website you want to redirect to. Like if you want to whatever website you want. Like I have chosen here HTML only. Again, I will take this only, add it here. Then the on the web page, whatever the text which is used to redirect the thing, you have to add in this bracket here, right here. Like if I add the here HTML. So when I run it on the browser, I'll see HTML and HTML here. So, let me comment this out. HTML. So in the HTML, we have the link for that website. When I click it on, I'll be redirected to the HTML tag. I hope I'm clear. If not, you can tell me. Again, I'll explain it again.
Guys, kindly share information in the chat. That's how we'll know that you are on the same page as us.
I think I'm
Also,
fast.
Srijit and Kaushal, I kindly request you to go through the questions in the Q&A tab.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Arhit, we are answering it, and
Yeah,
yeah.
we are looking at it.
awesome.
Also, guys, please, if there is anything apart from a question, please check yourself that you are in the general tab and not in the Q&A.
Like on this page, you can see here, welcome, you have found the easiest way to learn HTML and CSS. This is also a kind of link tag, anchor tag. When you click it, it will redirect to this, or like what is HTML. We'll reach the HTML part of this website, which wherever it is redirecting us. So I think I am clear with it. I was at the table thing. So here is the table. This is a table row, table heading, name, table heading country, table row, table data. Table row is the second row. First row is the table data. Let me run it. Then see, this one was the table row first, tr tag first, which contained table heading name and table heading country. So here it is. Then we added table row again for the second row, in which will add the data for data for the name and country which we are showing. So I had added this name. Here it is. It's shown under the name tag. It is name heading. It is elephant. So like say similarly, here is the country Spain. So under Spain country heading, we are adding Spain. It will work like if I change this to up, it will go under the, if I change Spain to in place of alpha, it will go under name tag. It works like first in, first out. Okay, so I think table tag is clear. If not, you can tell me. I'll
Question has popped up a lot. Indentation does not matter. We do it just to help the person coding have an idea about what's happening. In general, it does not have much significance.
Yeah, in HTML it doesn't have. It's just for our sake. Like we, it look, it gives the code a little bit more beautification, add beautification to the code. So that's why we add indentation to it. So I think, no. So this is the, I think, last tag which I'm going to explain. This is a div tag. As I said earlier, the div tag is like a container, a box which contains all the things in it. So uh, let me show the code then. Yeah, like you can see in the div tag, I have this paragraph tag from the first document, the link list from the second document, and similarly the anchor tag and table from third and fourth respectively. I have added all of them in one tag and enter div. So what div tag does, it just compiles them into one section, one table, box-like structure. It's not visible to us, but yeah, we can say it is under one thing. When we develop it or when we add CSS, we can change it accordingly. So if I run it, uh, so this all is under one div tag. I haven't added the CSS. It will be explained by Kaushal to you. Whenever we'll add to CSS, then we can change the look of this the web div tag, which is not visible to us right now. But yeah, when we'll change the things, it will show the changes in it. If we'll add the boundary border tag, the things around this div will, and the border will be added around it. There is also some similar tag called section tag with in the HTML, which also does similar thing. But in section tag, the content which we add to the in it is somehow related to each other, and we can make changes accordingly in it. So this was all from my side regarding HTML. I guess the basic of HTML is clear with you guys. If you have any doubt, you can ask it. So now I'll hand over the stage to Kaushal for explaining you about CSS. So Kaushal.
Raghav, like you can have a 5 minutes doubt session so that
Yeah, okay,
if you
sure.
have any doubts, you can answer them.
Yeah, sure. Sure. So if you have doubt, give again.
While Raghav is going through the questions in the chat, Srijit, can you again reiterate how to go about the GitHub link? Because I guess a few of them have doubt there.
Sure. Sure. I will show. I will say. Like, click on the GitHub link, which is pinned in the chat box, and once you're inside that, once you're in that page, you will find this branches list in that button. Like Raghav, I mean Kaushal is showing, I guess. Yeah.
Srijit, like if you allow me, shall I explain that?
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi guys, I guess you're doing fine. So let's start with the CSS session. So yeah, let me before we get in, so I'll make sure that you have the code so that will be helpful for you to make the progress with the CSS session. As like we have given the link here, we have pinned it in the general section. Just press Control and click on the link so that it opens in a new tab. Yeah, now you'll reach the main branch of the GitHub repository. So now, because will have our CSS session forward, I would like you to just click here and go to your CSS branch. Yeah, And after you're here, just go to code and download the zip file. So you'll have the zip file here. Just click on it and extract the zip file to wherever like you feel comfortable accessing. I'll put it on my desktop for now. So like I have the zip file, like the folder extracted to my zip desktop. I'll just come here, open the folder. So now you can see the folders available. The CSS folders are available. So the same thing goes with your HTML folders. You can just go to the repository, open the HTML branch so that you can access these files. Yeah. You can flood the general section with a yes so that I can confirm you understood. Oh, hi Kaushal. I found another Kaushal here.
And Kaushal, I
Yeah.
think you you don't want your privacy to be extremely secured by keeping your notifications on. Anyway, that's your choice. But yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. 1 second, guys. Yeah, just give me a second.
While people are about asking about div tag, and one was div tag. Raghav, can you just go through the div tag again?
Okay, in meantime I'll go. So
Also, guys,
basically,
please be sure that you type your questions in the Q&A tab and the general chat goes in the general section, because it won't be easy for us to, separate the both things.
okay, so if I may share my screen again.
Yeah, div tag and table tag, Raghav.
Okay, so I'll go with the output then. So here you can see the output is here. Basically, div tag is like a box in which we add all the other tags. So to create a synchronization of the things, like okay, here is thing one thing, other tag is here. So like if they don't get mixed with each other, or if I add outside a div, it will go somewhere else. So just to create that thing, we are creating a div. Like you can see in the screen, the part which is blue is the div. All the other things, the tags are inside the blue part. So that is why this is the what is div. It has contained all the other tags in it. Whenever we will make changes to it, like if we add CSS to it, the changes will be added to all of the things in it, the div tag. We can add separately also to the separate tags again. But yeah, if we'll add some changes, it will be added to the whole of the div. It is like just like if we take an example of a box, we add things to keep them at a particular place so that they can't go here and there. Just to think like that, it is similar to a box div tag. I think that's clear. If not, clear. So for table tag, let me go for table tag again. Okay, so I have to stop sharing. Go with the table tag. Huh. So here is the table tag. What we have done in the table tag is that we just added a table tag in the front of in the. Okay, let me show the code instead. This. Sorry, guys. Sure. Huh. So here is a table tag. So what we do in the table tag, we just add this table tag to show that it is a table. We're going to create a table. Then we add its tr tag to show the things inside the tr tag are to be written in the row. Row is like this part, this thing. It is a row. So to write the things in the row, we add tr tag. Then we add th tag. The full form is table heading. So for the heading of the table, via th, and whatever the heading we want, just add it in it, and when we create a table is created, this thing under th tag will be created as the heading of the thing. So okay, if I just create another like your phone number, and so I have added again another line in the table data. So TD is the table data. TR, as I think you guys understood about it. TR is a row tag. It is used to tell that we are going to add a row to the table, and TD is the data which will be going to be added in that table. So I have added this again a phone number thing. So whenever I'll go to the table tag, I'll reload it. So see, phone heading has been added to it. You can see the phone country and name is little bolder than these table data because they are under heading tag. This is what table tag looks like. I think it's clear now. Yeah, I'm a GOT fan. So I think yeah. Okay then, Kaushal, you can continue with your CSS part.
Hello. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're audible.
Okay. I'll share my screen. So you guys are clear with the GitHub part, right? For now. So I'll consider everyone have their files ready. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So uh, hi guys, myself Kaushal. So I'll be explaining CSS to you today. So make sure like you have downloaded the files from the CSS branch. Now, till now, Raghav was explaining how to, create a skeleton of the website. Like now, you have just given the skeleton to a, uh, let's consider it as a human body. If you have, deal with like you can refer to it as an analogy. So in that case, now we'll be giving the skin and colors to the website. Yeah. So now I would like to start with the CSS types. So for this, I would like you to refer to the CSS01 folder inside the repository that we had downloaded right now. Yeah, so let's start. So there are three types of CSS styling. One is the inline styling. The next one is the internal or the embedded style sheet, and the last one is the external style sheet. So what are these things? I'll explain you directly. Let's not dive into a lot of definitions. So yeah, now that you have your files in your desktop, you can see this file here in my desktop. You just open your VS Code if you have VS Code, or else, yeah, I'll teach you both the cases. Let's start with VS Code first. Just go to VS Code, click on Open Folder. Yeah, navigate to your desktop and just click on Doorway to Web CSS. That's it, and just select the folder. So in this case, if you just select the folder, you'll have your files here, and you can access the files, through these folders. So this is one way of accessing the files if you have VS Code. And in the other case, you can follow these steps, like just open it directly. Um, Go to CSS01. Let's say if you are dealing with the external style sheet part, just click here and you can see a HTML folder as well as a CSS folder, right? So if you have VS Code, this will directly open with VS Code. Yeah. But like if you don't have VS Code, it will open in your Notepad. So that's fine. CSS opens in Notepad if it doesn't have, or any other text editor that you have. Maybe like suppose if you have Sublime Text or something else, it will open with that text editor. So it will open there. And this folder, if you want to access the code for HTML, just right click on it. Yeah. and go to open with. And now you'll have your options here. You can use Notepad if you don't have VS Code, or you can use VS Code as well. So in that case, you'll have your code ready. So everyone are clear with this part, right? So like I just want to make sure you are clear with your files so that we can go easily. Guys, you just flood the general section with the yes, so that I'll be. Yeah, that's great. I can see a lot of yes. So yeah, let's go ahead. So let's start with inline style sheet. What do you think is inline style sheet? As its name suggests, inline style sheet is CSS inside the lines of your HTML code. So that's what it basically means. Let me show you an example. For example, yeah, you have to go to CSS01, and inside that you have your inline folder. So open that and open your inline file, inline.html file. So here you'll find your code. So as you know, this is the head tag and this is the body tag. This is the part we'll be dealing with to write code, right? So I'll show you the header tag. So this is the header tag, and here we have a header, and if you see, I used this attribute called style, right? I used an attribute called style inside the tag, and I gave it an the attributes or the properties of CSS inside it. And make sure you use a semicolon. I'll teach you the syntax of CSS shortly. So if you can see, I have given my CSS inside the tag. So this is what is called as inline CSS, right? So this is an example for inline CSS. We'll be dealing with you know um, the properties shortly, but for now you just consider that these are the
Useful
CSS
permission.
properties. Yeah,
Can
hello.
you zoom in a little bit? The written request was in.
Should I zoom in a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah,
Now is it fine?
I think it's fine.
Yeah. I'll just. Okay. So now you guys can see it, right? It's clear. Yeah. Okay. So this was an example for inline CSS. Let's go to the next topic. 1 second. Yeah, the next one is internal CSS. So what is the difference between inline and internal? They sound the same, but the actual difference is in internal CSS, you will be using a style tag instead of giving CSS inside the tags. You use this style tag so that you keep your body tag look clean, so that you can just skim through your code easily. So we use the style tag, and this style tag is given inside the head tag of your HTML. So let me show you. Yeah, let's let this one out.
So, Kaushal, can you please explain a little bit about what VS Code is and whether VS Code is necessary for coding?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, see, VS Code is a text editor that most of the web developers use. It has a really good, support for HTML and many other languages. Like if you are a, if you want to develop things, I would see every developer would recommend VS Code. But in case, like any case that you can't use VS Code, there are other alternatives like Sublime Text and Atom. But VS Code is a really good, text editor which we can use to, edit code. But yeah, suppose there is a case that you can't use VS Code. As I said, you can use your basic Notepad for, web development. That's not an issue at all. Yeah, I guess that's enough, right? Okay, yeah, so let's start with internal CSS. So if you take a greater look, internal CSS, I've given it as in-file CSS. So just check. We have internal CSS here, and I've given the style inside the head tag, right? And I've mentioned nothing here. I've given the style here, and the style will be applied to this head tag. I'll show you the website also. one second. Yeah. Yeah, see, if you see this, this has the text has been colored with blue, so that's what the property we had given. It should have a blue color. Yeah, sorry for that. It should have a blue color. So that's what the property we had given to the text. And if you see, yeah, so it's blue in color. So the style have been applied properly. The thing we use here is this is called a selector. A selector is basically, it tells the code to select the h3 tag. For example, if I have h3 inside my body tag, right, what the selector does is it will tell, hey, check the h3 tag and apply these styles into h3 tag. Yeah, so that's what the selector does. So this is the basic syntax for CSS. So you mentioned the selector, yeah, and then you come inside the code block. That's you mentioned the curly braces, and then you give the properties. So these are CSS properties. What is properties? It you have selected the tag. Yeah, that's very good. Like now, how will HTML know what to do with the tag? Yeah, so that's specified by these properties. So let's consider the text decoration property. So decoration property tells that we have to add italics to h3, right? So this is the syntax for a property. You mention the property name, yeah, you use a colon, and you specify the value and end it with a semicolon. Please do not forget to add a semicolon, like otherwise it will show an error. This was the last one. So just, yeah. See, it gives an error saying that because like we don't consider indentation here. The only thing that separates each and every line is the semicolon. So make sure you mention the semicolon after each and every property. So this is the syntax. Like if you have a property called font family, right, you just give your property name, a colon, and the value of the property, and end it with a semicolon. So that's how properties work. So are you guys clear with properties? Yeah, great. Uh, l- okay, yeah. So let's dive into the next type of CSS. That's the external CSS. So what does external CSS mean? Like till now we had been giving CSS inside the HTML page, right? But external CSS is to include an external style sheet that has a CSS code in it. That is a .css file inside your web page. So each and every developer would like to use external CSS because as a web developer, I would like my HTML page to be as clear and empty as possible, right? The less code you have here, the more legible your code is. So each and every web developer would like his HTML page to be as empty as possible. So if you have these many, okay, I had just one tag here. Consider if I have 300 lines of HTML code. So 300 lines of just HTML code. So if you start giving your CSS code here, it'll sum up to 600 lines, right? Like more than 600 lines, I would say. So in that case, your HTML file will be fully flooded, and if a new developer comes and looks inside the code, so he'll be totally confused how to start and where to start. So that's why each and every developer would recommend you to use an external style sheet. So let me show you an example of what external style sheet is. Yeah, you can use the external folder here, and I have given the HTML and CSS file separately. See, this is the CSS file. I have given the CSS code here, as I mentioned. Yeah, see, this is the selector. This is the property, and this is the property value, and this is the semicolon. So I have given the same CSS so that you can make sure, like, you can find out the difference. And this is the HTML page. And here I have just mentioned the link tag. So let's see how you can bring a external style sheet inside a website. So to bring an external CSS file, so CSS.css files are referred to as style sheets, right? The proper terms. So you can link that external style sheet using the link tag, right? You just give the link tag, use the rel attribute which specifies that it's a style sheet, right? And the type attribute, like it's not required, but this is used to deal with errors. Suppose in case there are errors with your css file, the html page treats it as a text folder. So that's why we use the type attribute. And at last, this is the href attribute, which this will navigate to your css file, that is a style sheet. So you have to give your location of the your css file. So for example, my css file is in the same folder where I have my html file, so I just gave it directly. So what if I have this css folder inside my inline folder? Yeah, so now I have my style sheet in my inline folder, and the html page is in my external folder. So first I'll have to come out of it, so I'll use dot dot slash, right? Then I'll go into my inline folder, inline, yeah. Then I'll give a slash, right? So you can file external style.css. So I just click it. See, you have navigated to your external style sheet. I'll just save this code and I'll run it for you. See, yeah. See, the color has been applied even if the style sheet is not in the folder, because I had navigated to it properly. So you use dot dot slash to come out of a folder you are currently in, like go back. Yeah, so that's why you use dot dot slash. I guess the types of CSS are clear. Yeah, so you guys have any doubt?
Kaushal, two questions that I noticed is you can answer, like, is there any preference order for the three types of CSS? And what's the difference between inline and internal? Wow.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like each and every web developer would prefer to go with okay, you wanted between inline and internal.
Yes, and as well as if there's a preference that's followed.
Okay, so the preference order is, in the reverse order. Like I would, each and every web developer would prefer to go with external CSS, right? And then he'll go with the internal CSS. And in the worst case, like suppose he has 1,000 lines of HTML code, and he wants to change a specific tag, without disturbing the folder. Like he's totally new to that folder or that repository. What he'll do, he'll just go to the tag, add the style attribute, and give the style there. So that's why basically we use inline css, otherwise it doesn't have any significant use. I'll just show you an example if you would really like to see. For example, yeah, just give me a sec. Yeah, so if you see, this is how I code in web development. So this was a basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, website. I had my HTML folders here, my CSS folders here, and my image folder here, and my JavaScript folder here. So if you see, this is the best way to have your, files arranged, so that it's easy for someone to understand. Even if any of you come to this folder, you can easily recognize where the files have been located, right? So this is how I use my uh, folders for web development, the basic projects. But yeah, we have more folders, like if you deal with frameworks, they'll arrange the folders for you and you'll just have to use them. So are there any doubts in till here?
Kaushal, Srijit, and Raghav, I guess you guys can talk it in a very concise manner about the references that you use for web development yourself, like how you went about it, because there were a few people asking for references. So I guess you can say that.
Posted very official kind of document and standard document reference for HTML and all kind of web development related stuff. It's Mozilla's documentation about web dev technologies. Like just check it out. Like they got a kind of literally everything about web dev. If you need any reference to any attributes to HTMLs or JavaScript or CSS, please check that website out.
There's one question that you guys will really like, I guess. Bankar Pati has asked, why should we learn web development when we already have website builders available?
Yeah, I was expecting these questions from any one of them, but yeah, finally I got it. So yeah, it is a legit question that we got HTML builders, and why would we need a HTML, CSS, JavaScript base? Do you find HTML builders to have everything that you need? Like, for example, you just need a virtual keyboard in your website. You are developing a website for a bank, say, let's say a bank. So a bank's website is so secure that you can't use your keyboard, because if there is any keylogger, it will track you. So you need to implement your own virtual keyboard. So I think like website builders doesn't offer you that. That is so advanced stuff, I know. But if you just want to tweak in a bit, if you don't know CSS, you can't just tweak in your own styles. Apart from what you pay for, like actually you have to pay for website builders for advanced features that you might know already. So it's better to know CSS and HTML, just the basics, to enhance your websites and look it more unique to yourself, apart from having a theme-based website from website builders. I
Yeah,
guess
also,
that answers the question. Raghav, you can just continue with that.
yeah, also like in web builders, they're just a particular type of given templates you can work on. You can't
Yeah,
just if you can't just work with your creativity if you want to create a different type of website. Like if you have creativity to create text here, text flowing here and there, you can't just go with the web builders to add these things. In web development, you can add whatever you want, whatever you choose. That's quite easy, and creativity comes in hand.
let me also say this. That question rises just because you don't know the essence of web developments. Like once you get to know the basics, you will get creative with it, and you will start building anything you want in HTML and CSS. Like if you get a bit of knowledge about JavaScript, then you will go way far higher than like what you thought you would become. Like you might even choose your career for web development. I'm just saying
Yeah,
it.
like
You can
adding up to Srijit's point, like if you consider my projects, like I have not only worked on like web dev. People consider web dev is just for framing a website and giving it colors and background, right? So that's not all about web dev. People use web dev as a medium to interact with people and technology that's working behind. So like if you consider my projects, I've used IoT. I've integrated into my websites, and I've come out with very impressive outcomes. So I guess web dev is used to bring different domains of computer science together. So that's why I guess web dev is used. So I guess like you should use web dev as a career option, or at least to know web dev, because that will help you a lot with other domains also. Yeah.
actually, I
Uh,
think, yeah, go ahead. Good. Sorry, I thought you finished.
yeah, yeah. Please complete.
I think I triggered someone, and I just saw a question. Can we make websites that we see in our day-to-day life using HTML? Wow, that's a great question, because you are not seeing anything apart from HTML. The website you visit is completely built on HTML. Like you can just the very basic site, you can once you go into a using Google. So the Google is primarily, there is no other way to build a website. That's in short. Like HTML is the way to build a website. Anything else?
Yeah. So that's it, right, Arhit? Like, do you see some interesting questions? No, right?
Abhishek, that was the same feeling I had when I was in my first sem as well. I'd rather study web dev myself rather than calc, but again, calc has its own importance, so not gonna diss calc. So yeah, and a question that's frequently being asked, I want to address it once more. The recording for the session will be shared, but the PPT unfortunately won't be, because we want this session to be real time. We want you guys to follow up with us. At the same time, I would request the speakers to kindly keep note of the pace that you are at. Just give our attendees some time to follow up. And yeah, that's it, I guess. Rest of the questions, kindly keep answering them in the tab, and we can move forward. Over to you
Yeah.
guys.
Okay. So yeah, let's start with the next part, next section of the of CSS. So yeah, let's start dealing with CSS selectors. So for this, you can use the CSS 02 folder. So CSS selectors, as I told you, we can use CSS selectors to reference to a particular tag inside your HTML page. So is that really important? Because like you just refer to a tag, right? But yeah, it's really important. You know why? Because it's not just referring to one tag. You will be dealing with more than at least as far as I've seen, you'll be in a page of 300 lines, you'll be dealing with more than 1,000 tags. So in that case, you should find a proper method to select the proper group of tags. So that's why we use CSS selectors. You'll get to know the use as we proceed further. So yeah, there are 7 types of selectors. Actually there are 8. I'll explain why there are 7. So the first type is ID selector. The second one is the class selector. The third one is the universal selector. Then we have the group selectors. Then the descendant selectors, the child selectors, and the attribute selectors. So let's see them in detail. Uh, yeah, so type selectors. As you can see, I have not mentioned type selectors as such here, but type selector is also one of the important selectors, but that's used commonly. I'll explain how. So let's consider you have an web page. For example, I'll show. I'll close these files. Yeah, I'll open the CSS and yeah, type selector. So for example, I have more than 3 H3 tags in this code. Yeah, like I have 2 H3 tags and 1 H1 tag. You guys know header tags, right? Or should I explain header tags? Yeah, okay, that's great. So yes, you know header tags. Okay, so I have 2 H3 tags and I have just one H1 tag, and I don't want to give any CSS to H1, but I want these 2 tags to be selected. So what I'll do, I'll use the type selector. So type specifies the type of the tag you are going to select. Like I want to select H3, so I'll use my type selector as H3. So I'll just refer H3 and I'll give its color as blue. So in that case, if you see the website, one second, the type selector, use the type folder, and inside that you have the type selector webpage. See, my H1 tag is not given the CSS, while I have given my styles to the H3 tags. So this is how the type selector works. And why I didn't mention this as a main type, because like most of us won't use type selectors so frequently, other than giving CSS to body. We won't use type selectors frequently, because type selectors, if you mention a H3 tag separately, it will deal with each and every H3 tag. That any that pretty much doesn't mean why we use a selector. So type selector is not frequently used, but yeah, it's also a type of selector, so I mentioned it here. Let's come to the main types of selectors now. This is the ID selector. Why you use an ID selector? Suppose in case you want to specify a particular tag, only one like suppose I have 3 H3 header tags, and I want to specify just one header tag out of the 3, right? So I'll use my ID selector. And if you guys know, ID, each and every tag has its different ID, its own ID. You can't have 2 tags with the same ID, right? So in that case, I'll be selecting just one of my tag among all the header tags. So that's why we use ID selectors. I'll just show you. Yeah, so this is the ID selector. I gave my ID as MID, and this also as MID2. So I can give it as MID, because that doesn't define ID. What an ID is, like it is different to each and every tag, right? So I've given MID to H3, the first header tag. And in that case, can you just tell me which of these header tags will be applied with given blue color in the chat section? um Guys, yeah, the first one, yeah, great. Yeah, MID. So thanks for the response. So See, let me open the web page. ID selector. Yeah, so see, blue, the CSS was applied only for the first header tag, while the other two were left with their default CSS. Yeah, so that's how your ID selectors work. Let's get into the class selector. The class selector is basically to add particular tags to a particular or to one set of groups. Like for example, I have three more than three header tags, or like four header tags, and I want to add just three of them to a particular group. I can't give them IDs because like there are three header tags, right? So I'll add them to a particular group which is called as a class, right? And that class will be if you apply the CSS to that particular class, only the tags with that class will be given the CSS property. So in this case, I've considered h3 and h1 to be in my ID class. So just take a note that this is a class and not an ID. So I can have more than one class, right? Not, but I can have just one ID for one tag. So in that case, I've given these as my ID, and h3 I have given it no CSS. So in that case, if I apply dot my ID, yeah, make sure like for the syntax of class selector, use dot there, right? Dot and the class name. So yeah, sorry for that. You can use dot and class name. So in that case, just give the color as blue, and you will see these two with blue color and this without any CSS. Let me show it to you. The class, yeah, this is the website. So yeah, as you see, this is what we expected. So that's how the class selectors work. Let's go to the next type. This is the universal selector. For universal selector, you use star. And what is universal selector? It selects each and every tag in your HTML page, HTML DOM. Like suppose I have this tag. 1 second. I'll show you the universal selector. Yeah, so I have given my class different names, right? I have given the h3 with different class, and h1 and h2 h3 the same class, right? But I have given a universal selector here, that is this star. So in that case, um, each and every tag here will get the CSS property that is inside the universal selector. So if you if you think about it, then each and every header tag should get the CSS styling. So see, each and every tag has the CSS styling. And then let's dive into the next type. This is the group selector. The group selector has, what does group selector mean? Group selector means that you have two different groups, right? But you want both of them to have the same kind of CSS. So then you use group selector. It's nothing like, nothing is so different about group selectors. You just have to give comma between two groups, and the rest is the same. So I'll just show you. I'll just give an example. Yeah, so here we are with the group selector. In this case, I have two types of tags here. Yeah, three. Now I added three. The header tags, h3 header tags, and the h1 tag, and I have the paragraph tag, that is p tag, right? So as Raghav mentioned, this is the p tag. So I have four types of tags here. I mean, three types of tags here and four tags. If I mention h3 comma h1, right? So this will apply the CSS only to the h3 and h1 tags, and it will leave the rest with default. So in that case, you should get your h3 and h1 colored, right? That comes under group. Yeah, see, the paragraph tag is left with default CSS, while the h3 and h1 tags are given the CSS. So that's how the group selector works. And then we have the descendant selector. So descendant selector is nothing so complicated. Like suppose you have nested tags. Like I have a header tag inside a div tag. Div tag is the division tag basically. So I have a header tag inside the div tag. So I want to mention a particular header tag inside a particular div tag. In that case, I want to mention only the header tag in one div tag, right? So in that case, I'll use the descendant selector. I'll mention I want to give this CSS to h1 tag under this div tag, right? So that will give the h1 under this kind of div tag only, right? I'll give you an example. Like this is the descendant HTML. Um, yeah. So this is the descendant HTML page. So if you see, one second. I'll just add that. If you see, I have the div tag here. I have given h3 inside this div tag. I have this div tag here. I have given h3 here also. Like if I say I want to color the like I want this to be applied only in h3 that is under div. I'll say div space h3. Yeah. In the, in that case, only the div tag with h3 will be given the CSS. I'll show you the web page. Yeah, see, if you check once more, only the h3 with the div tag are given the CSS. So only these two are given the CSS styling while they are left with default. So this is how the descendant selector works. And let's go with the child selector. So the child selector is basically you have a child. I'll just show you the example. I have a child a child tag for a main tag. So that will be applied only to the child tag. So for example, if I have my div, right, and inside my div I have my id. So in that case, CSS will be applied to only my id, which is the child of my div. For example, I give this this div the name of, I'll give it a name called mydiv2. Can someone tell me what will happen now? That section, will the mydiv2 be colored or not? Won't be colored. Yeah, great. That's great. So mydiv2 won't be colored. You were right, guys. So I'll just show you. See, my div 2 is not colored, but my div is colored. So this is how the child selector works. And now we have the attribute selector, which is the last type. So what is the attribute selector? So particular tags have, each and every tag have attributes. So if I want to, select tags with respect to their attributes, I use the attribute selector. And how I use them, the syntax is, you mention the tag name. For example, I have a p tag. I mentioned p tag. And I say style, which is the attribute. I use the style attribute, and I give the value here, right? I give the style equals some value, and then I give it the CSS. So this is how the attribute tag attribute selector works. And just give me a second, guys. Sorry for that disturbance. In this attribute tag, if you see, I have my div, my h3, the same structure. So I want to select, I've given two inputs. I gave a form and I give two input tags inside that. So in that case, if I want to select the input tag, which is of type text, right? You guys know about input tags, right? Or should I brief a little about it? Yep. Okay. We'll come to that in the next slide. The difference between descendant and group.
Kaushal, brief a little bit about that.
Yeah, okay. I'll brief a little bit about input tags. So input tags are basically used to, have user input. So as you can see, this is a form. Let me give you an example. That would be the best way. Like for example, if I go to this website, yeah, should I go? Yeah, I'm here in Covin website, which is for vaccines. I'll give the sign in option, and suppose if I enter my phone number here, like this is not my phone number, I'm entering a dummy number. Please don't call this number. Yeah, so I have entered my phone number here, and I click on get OTP, right? So in that case, the OTP will be received, and but how did the computer or the server know that I had given this number to it? So that's using the input tag. So this is a text box. So what will happen here is when you enter the value in this text box will be sent to the database. So this acts as an intermediate between the user and he enters his data, and that data will be sent to the backend. So that's why we use um, the input tags. So there are different. Yeah, we'll deal with the backend in the later stages of our program. So for now, is input tag clear? Yes, yeah, thank you so much. So input tag, I've used two types of input tags, one for email and one for text. Email is, it looks same to text, but in this you'll have to give the submission in the email format. Otherwise it will throw an error. So that's why we use email tag, email type for input tag. So we have two types, and I just want to give styling to my text tag. So in that case, see, I'll use my attribute selector. See, I've given the input tag, and given the type selection, like the attribute selection, as text. See, I've given type is equal to text. It just like works like an if condition. See, like if inputs type equals text, right? Give this give the CSS styling. So that's how it works. So in this case, only the text input tag will have the blue background. So if you see the website, uh, yeah, see, the text tag has the background blue, while the email tag doesn't have a blue background. So this is how the input tag works. So that's pretty much about selectors. So in you guys have any doubts in selectors? Yeah, someone asked the difference between descendant and group, right? Descendant is basically the if you have a nested if you have nested tags, like I have one div inside another div, and I want to give like it's an it's like a nested if condition. Like if condition 1 is true and condition 2 is also true, in that case only you apply the CSS to that tag. So it pretty much works like that. Like for example, if there is a h1 tag, right, inside a div tag, then and only then you will give the this CSS. So that's how the descendant selector works. Whereas group selector, it works something like in this case you give the CSS to both the tags. Like for example, you give it to h3 as well as h1. So that's why you use a group selector. So is that point clear? Child selector once again. Okay, I'll go with that. Is ID selector basically used for internal CSS? Yeah, ID selector is it's yeah, it represents internal CSS, but it's basically used to give CSS to a particular tag. Like I'll explain that when we'll study about JavaScript and how we use jQuery. So in those places we'll use your IDs. Yeah, that's how ID is used. And can we put h1 and h3 under the same div? Can't we? Yeah, we can, of course we can. Like you're totally free to nest any tag with any tag here. That's up to you. See, like even I can nest everything inside one div tag. So that can also be done, right? Web design is easy. We have knowledge of any PL. Guys, do you want to answer this question?
I don't I think it's subjective. Someone who doesn't have uh, knowledge of any programming language, even they should be able to catch web development. What do you guys think?
Yeah, like we learned web development when I was in my 6th grade, so I don't think we require any
Yeah.
programming language for web dev.
And yes, there's a question about GitHub. So we did not mean that we'll be doing a session exclusively for GitHub. We just meant we'll tell how to, like, how can you use GitHub with respect to our event. If you need a little bit more insight into it, I guess you can put it up in the chat. We'll be covering it in tomorrow's session then. And there's a question from Aditya Nath Kaushal. You can look at it.
Yeah, after dot mydiv, there's a, yeah, does that mean it's specific child tag only? Um, yeah, exactly. You're right, Aditya. Like that means it'll refer to the child of only dot mydiv, right? The angular bracket we used here, that represents that it's a child of mydiv. Yeah, you're exactly right.
And if you use star after the greater than symbol, it will select all the descendants of that group. If with that,
Yeah.
that is a class, then whichever tag is inside that class of element will be selected, and that styles will be applied to the all in descended elements.
So
Uh, JS will be dealing with in tomorrow's event. So we'll deal with JS and
Srijit will be giving a brief insight into what will happen tomorrow. Before that, caution. There was a question. There was a good question from Ruben. Ruben was asking if there's any situation or any circumstance where you would prefer one selector over the other. If yes, how do you make that selection?
yeah, you just that's why we use selector. Like for example, you can't actually use a selector on other selector. But yeah, like for example, you prefer a particular type of CSS over other. Like for example, I have written code for H1 tag and H3 tag, right? But now after I have developed the website, I feel like I want to have the H3 tags CSS in my H1 tag. What I do is I just remove the H3 tag from there, H3 selector, and I add H1 CSS there. So that's how that's why we use selectors basically. Like that makes giving CSS easy in the code. Yeah, that's why we use selectors. Any other questions? I'll give you an example attribute.
Kaushal, there is one question. Please do
Mhm.
brief the types of CSS again.
Types of CSS, yeah, I'll be really short this time. There are three types of CSS: inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. Inline CSS is basically when you give the CSS inside the attribute sections of a particular tag. Like for example, I want to give CSS here, then I'll use then that means it's inline CSS. And internal CSS is when I use a style tag separately inside my head tag to give the CSS. So that's pretty much about internal CSS. And external CSS is when I use an different style sheet for external CSS. I mean, like I use a different style sheet which has the CSS content, and I just want to link it here. So that's external CSS. It's clear, right? Child selector once again. Okay, I'll be explaining child selector once again. See, like this is the child selector. For example, I have my div, right? My div is one division, and my div 2 is another division, right? I'll give class my ID here also. Yeah, so can you guys tell me like which of both the H3 will get the CSS in this? I have my div which has the same class H3 as my ID, and I have my div 2 which has the same H3 tag with class my ID. So which my ID will be given the CSS? My div one. Yeah, so that's great. Like if you have a look in the code, I have mentioned that dot my div, that is my div class, and the child selector, the angular bracket operator, and the h3. Like this means that you have to select h3, which is under my div. So that's what is child selector. Now you get my point, right? Yes.
Difference between child and descent selector. Someone has asked that. Prasan Mittal has asked that.
Okay, yeah. A difference between child and descendant selector is basically child selector. When you use child selector, right? It just deals with a particular type of tag as the parent, right? In that case, you'll just use a particular type of parent. But in descendant selector, you can use a group of parents. Like I can mention div in common, so that like each and every div with that kind of yeah, like it's basically similar, but in descendant I have a bigger domain. Like I can mention the each and every div which has h3. In that case, it's a descendant selector. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so I'll address the last doubt, and we'll have the other doubts at the end of the session. Yeah. Okay. One question: how do we use ID selector? Isn't it hard to use every tag different from ID if we have the same ID? Yeah. So as I mentioned, Priyanshu, like you'll be learning about why we use ID selectors in jQuery. Like when we learn about jQuery. So there will be needing IDs, to select particular tags from the HTML using JavaScript, and also it's required in jQuery so that you can be able to select tags separately. That's why we use ID selectors. But yeah, for now at this early stage, you just think like it's an alternative for inline CSS, right? Okay, so like let's dive in and complete the a session for now, and we have a doubt session at end. Don't worry, guys. So this is the box model. Let's start with the box model. What is box model? I'll just show you with an example so that if we just get into definitions, right? People get bored usually. So yeah, I'll show this website. So I'll go to the inspect element. Yeah, you know how to access the use the inspect element. Just right click in a website, go to inspect, and here you can see each and every component in the web dev way. So you can see each and every tag here, right? So you can like basically view the structure of the code in your inspect element, and the type of css you have given here also. So for example, if I came here, so this is basically the box model. Like if you see, this is the box model for the h1 tag. This contains the content part. Like outside the content I have the padding, right? Outside the padding, padding is the gap between the border and the content, so that's padding. And outside padding I have the border. Yeah, this is the border. And this is the margin. The margin defines the outside gap, like it's the gap of this element with other elements in the html. So that's basically the box model. So box model is nothing much to understand. I just want you to have that idea in your mind so that that helps to do stuff easily. So you just have this idea. Inside comes the content, the gap between
Sorry
your
to
content.
interrupt. Can you zoom in?
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can I zoom in? Yeah, I'll check. Okay, I can't zoom in. Wait a sec. I'll. Oh, yeah. Okay, I can't zoom in this.
Just control and scrolling inside the DevTools. It will zoom in the DevTools.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So if you now it's visible, right? Yeah. Okay. So see, like you can have, this is the content part. and inside like the content is separated by the border with the padding. This is the padding gap, and this is the margin gap. So you can use the padding and margin properties to give the gap between the content and maybe the element also from the other elements of the HTML page. So that's why we use the box model. You just have this idea in mind. This will help you a lot with CSS, with CSS. So yeah, let's. That's pretty much about box model. I'll just go forward. Yeah, so let's talk about CSS properties. Now that you know how to use CSS properties, let's talk about some basic properties that will help you to develop good websites, like good looking websites. So this is the background property. Before we come to background, let's just have a look at the text properties. So this is the text color property, which gives the color to the text. Of course, you can write it as color property. That's my fault. Yeah. So this is the color property. This gives color to the text that we had been doing till now. This is the text align property. This aligns the text to either center, left, or right. You have top, bottom, etc. And then this is the text decoration, which is used to give the bold, bolder, lighter, and things like that. Like you can make things make your content bold or light and do stuff with that. So that's the text decoration. And this is the text transform. Text transform is basically it deals with uppercase, lowercase, all the cases of the text. And then this the text indent. So text indent is basically the yeah, I'll show you text indent. And this is letter spacing. Letter spacing specifies the gaps between letters, and word spacing gives the gap between words. So I guess you know the difference between words and letters, right? So that's how these two works. And yeah, I'll show you the website, you'll get an idea, but till then just bear with me, please. So this is the background. So we use this property to give images as background, right? So if I specify background and URL is equal to this much, like URL is this. So in that case, it will assign my background with this image. Yeah. So that's why we use background property. And if I say background hyphen color, right, that'll be used to give the background color. So you can mention the RGB values to give the background color. And background size is used to define the size of the background. You can keep I'll show you the variants also. And this is the background repeat. Background repeat is, for example, you have a when we download images from online, you'll have images of different sizes, right? This screen is 1920 into 1080 pixels, but you get small if you get smaller images, right? So in that case, what will happen is, like, suppose in case you get 1280 into 720 pixels image. So in that case, if you didn't specify background repeat, it will consider default as repeat, so the image will start repeating in the background. So I would recommend you to keep background repeat off, suppose in case you are using images. Yeah. Then comes the background image. Yeah, that's the same thing like background. It is used to give images as a background. And this is the background position. This will specify the position of your background, is it on right top, left bottom. Yeah. And this is the background repeat. As I said, these are the options. I have given the options here: background repeat, no repeat, repeat y, and repeat x. Yeah, in some cases we use repeat y and repeat x also. Like repeat x means only the background will be repeated along your x-axis, and repeat y means will be repeated along your y-axis. So that's why we use background repeat. And background attachment, this is really important in some styles. Like for example, if you consider modern day web development, people deal with uh, styles that look really good. For example, if I consider parallax effects and different effects, that we use in CSS, so people usually use these kind of properties. Background attachment, like for example, if I give background attachment as fixed, right? My background will be fixed, but the contents will be scrollable. I'll show you an example. And if I give scroll, that's the normal way that we view an website. You can the background will go up if you scroll down, and it'll come down if you scroll up. So things like that. Yeah, these are local, initial, and inherit are properties that deal that are related to other elements inside your inside your web page. So I'll show you the example, which will make it more clear. Yeah. And yeah, for this you have to use your CSS03 folder. I have given the HTML file here. See, like I just this was my HTML code. It was not more than um, not more than 5 to 6 lines. But see the CSS I have. Yeah. So this much CSS. That's why we use external style sheet, so that I have my HTML folder, small enough and readable. Like it will make it more legible. So yeah, so that's why we use external CSS. Now let's come to this part. I have given my a main division which is called home, and inside that I have h content, that is home content. Yeah, you can give class names with hyphen, that's not a problem. Then I have another class inside it called my div that we have been using till now, and my id, we have used this also. This is pretty much about how the structure is. But what we have done with the CSS is what matters now. I have given the body tag. Can someone tell me which type of selector is this? No, I've mentioned body there. So body is a tag, right? So if I mention a tag, which kind of selector it is? I mentioned this also, like we use it specially for body. It's type selector, if you remember the first type, right? We use type selector only for the body tag, so that it's given universal. We use it only there. Don't worry. Like that's the type selector. And yeah, the next type we have given is dot home. I have given CSS to dot home. This is which type of selector? Yeah, that's great, Rubin. It's class selector. Yeah, it's class selector. Not id is given using hashtag, but this is a class selector because we use a period there. Yeah, this is you're right, it's a class selector. Now I have given the height as 200 vh means vertical height. So 100 vh defines this whole length from here to here. So this is 100 vh, and if I give 200 vh, that means double the size, right? So I have given home as 200 the height as 200 vh. I have given a background image, right? I have given the background position as center, so the image will be in the center. You can just visualize it. The image will be in center, right? It has an image, it will be in center. The background attachment is fixed, so like even if I scroll down, that image will be right here. And background repeat is no repeat, so there will be no repetition of image, so it will have just one image at the center, right? And background size is cover, so it will cover the whole web page. Now we have a image that covers the whole web page. And then we have margin none. So like why I give margin none is basically, if I have some margin, it will show some white space, right? That won't look good if you have a background, if you have your background sizes covered. So I've removed the margin, so margin also is none, right? Till now it's clear, right? So I'll open the website so that makes it more clear. Yeah. Yeah, if you guys can see, this is the website. Yeah, see, this is my background image. Yeah, you can see that I have 200 vh of height, right? and my background image doesn't have any repetition. It's just one image. It's to the center and a full size. So background size is cover. And if I scroll down, my image stays there, right? This effect looks good, na? So this effect is used in parallax. So we use background attachment as fixed there. So this is why we use background attachment. My image stays there, but the content, see, the my ID moves up. The content gets scrolled, but the image stays there. So that's why we use background attachment. And now I guess the background styles are clear. Yeah, that image is from Lord of the Rings. Like the Hobbits fans will know it. It's clear, right? The background properties are clear for now. Yeah. Yes, great. That's really great. Then I'll go into the text styles, and that'll be the last part of today's session. So yeah, I have given the color as white, as you can see here. The color is white, and one second. Then I have given text align center, which will align your text to center. Why doesn't it look centered? Because I have content here also. Like I have some content here also. I'll have to clear the margin for that, right? I have some content here also. So the content is from here till here. I'll show it to you. I'll just reduce this size. Yeah, you can use the inspect element to, view particular tags also. Like I select this, and if I select this, right, if I select on content, yeah, one second. So this is how the content works. Yeah, so that's about content, and I don't know why this content is this one. Yeah, there must be some error. I'll check that out. Yeah, next let's go to text decoration. It's bold. As you can see, it's bold. Then the transform is to uppercase. Has that work? Yeah, it's in uppercase. And then I've given text indent as okay. So this is causing the error. So I gave text indent as 30 pixels. So this will indent my text to 30 pixels. So if I just save it, I guess the error should be fine. No, not yet. Yeah, I guess some error is there with center. I'll check what is it. Yeah, then we have letter spacing. I'll increase the letter spacing so that you can see it clearly. Oops, sorry. So if I refresh the page, see the distance between the letters have increased. So this is letters have increased. So this is letter spacing. If you see the distance between C and S has increased. So that's letter spacing. And if I increase the word spacing, okay, I'll reduce it in this case. Yeah. So the words will have no gap. Oh, sorry. Yeah, if I reload, see the words will have default gap, but the letters will have the same gap between them. See, the letter will have same gap between them, but this is the default gap for a space, right? So it will give the default gap, but it won't increase. So like for example, if I increase it to 100 pixels, uh, yeah, see, the distance between the words has increased. So that's how the word spacing works. So that's pretty much about important properties. With these properties, I guess you'll be able to make beautiful websites. Yeah, I can say that, like, you can make really good looking websites with all these properties. So if you guys have any doubts, yeah, you can mention it in the chat section. Arhit, if you want to take over.
Yes, Kaushal, I guess even you can stop sharing if you have nothing more to show.
Yeah, I am done. Yeah, stop.
Before I say anything, I guess you can take a look at the chat box and answer these questions. Like, for example, Naveed has asked, as well as it's the same doubt for Lakshmi as well. What does text indent mean?
Text indent basically means your distance of your text from the left side of a web page. So like basically what we mean by indentation in your coding part, the same thing it means. Like it just specifies the distance of your tag from the left side of a web page. So that's basically text indent.
Fair enough. With that, I guess most of the doubts were being met. If you still have any more doubts, please shoot. We'll just take 5 more minutes of doubt clearing session since we also have another day. So Presha has asked what is HCNT class selector for.
HCNT is basically to give the home container. Yeah, I'll am I sharing my screen? No, right?
No, not yet.
It's a custom name given, and you can give any name for a class.
Yeah, this was causing the error. Yeah, I forgot. See, like in hedge current, I just gave it for I just gave its position absolute. Yeah, what position absolute means is that it will just um, it, the division will stop giving any consideration about any other tags inside this web page. Like it will just come to the top, right? It won't consider any website, any other tag exists in this web page. So in that case, the element will be at the top corner, right? So I had given that property, and that's position absolute, and I had given margin none. Yeah, sorry for that. I had given margin none and margin left as 12 VW. And so because of this property, I had that text center error. Now I guess it will be rectified. Just so if you see, yeah, it's rectified. The text is in the center. It has some margin, so that's why it's showing on top of the web page. If I give it some top padding, top margin, it will be all right. Yeah. I'll get some margin. Margin top as some. And position also. So that's pretty much it. I have also removed the margin. I've shifted the element to below a little bit down. So that's how that content, like I had given it for a different reason. Yeah, no, that's how I solved it. Any other important doubts?
Okay, awesome. With that, I guess Kaushal. I mean, it's everyone here attending this session. It's overwhelming to see you guys engaging with our content so much, and it really fills our heart to see that you guys are following and asking questions. We are trying our best. We are trying our best to answer all your queries, but since we already have another day of the session, keep your questions ready with you. We will also be answering them tomorrow. Uh, and with that being said, I and Dhwani, the GDC lead for Might, we are also giving our club's social media handles in chat so that all other queries which we unfortunately are not being to answer now because of an influx of way too many questions, we'll be answering them if you just hit us on our social media accounts. Yes, you'll be getting the recording. You'll be getting the recording for respective days. And with that being said, before I hand over the stage to Shrijit, all three of you, Raghav, Kaushal, and Shrijit, if you can give a very small brief about what PHP and Bootstrap mean, and then Shrijit, you can directly take over.
Yeah, so Bootstrap is basically a framework in which the CSS for all the elements have already been provided. Like it was basically developed for big, web developers who just don't want to get too much into front end and designing, but they want to use good looking websites for their back end. So it was developed for them. Like you can use the templates provided by them in your website, and you can just link it with your backend so that yeah, I'll show you an example. I have MDB Bootstrap.
While he opens the tab, let me just tell you, like, this was the question right from the start: what is meta tag? So basically, as you see, as we are humans, we can just open an HTML page and we can see the content of that page, and we can understand, really, like we can understand whether this is a portfolio, it's a landing page of some product website. We can just understand by the content. But for search engines like Google, they have this program called bot, which will be going through each and every website. So it doesn't know, like, you just have to have a glimpse whether to know it is a portfolio site or it's a product site. So meta tags will be defining whether this page is this kind of site. This page belongs to Google. This page belongs to them. Like it even tells that okay, this works fine in mobile devices. This works fine in desktop devices. Like it has some information about the document itself, the HTML document itself. So that's something uh, Google bots will be worried about when meta tag is not defined in an HTML document. And as far as we display it or it's for our own sake, we don't consider meta tags. Like it's just for search engine optimization.
Yeah. Yeah, is my screen visible? It's visible, right?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So
Try
this
to be
is.
concise, Kaushal.
Yeah,
if
I'll
possible.
just be very short. Like I'll just make it short. So this is MDB Bootstrap. So for example, if I want to search for cards, I'll just type in cards here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll just type in cards. Like yeah, I get cards. I should have got them. Yeah. So for example, I go to navbar here, right? This is I went to the navigation section and I went to navbar. Navbar is basically this part of a website where you can see links links to different parts of the same website. So that's why we use navbar for. MDB Bootstrap provides you with templates of navbar. You can use this navbar in your website. Like I just have to copy this code and I'll paste it in my code, then it'll work normally. Like I'll have to give the CDN to MDB Bootstrap, CDN of MDB Bootstrap, and then I'll have this navbar inside my website. So that's how Bootstrap basically works. That's pretty much it. Like everything in Bootstrap works the same way. So that was Bootstrap. And what is PHP? PHP is the backend. Like PHP is for backend scripting. Like now you have data. I was talking about input tags, right? So for example, for example, you use an input tag to enter your name, and how does the that name and get recorded into your database. So that's where your backend scripting comes in. Your PHP tells the database that you have to enter this data inside this tuple of your database. So that's how PHP works. PHP is not only for that, it's used for providing sessions, cookies, and many like we use it for many things. So that's why we use PHP. PHP is basically backend scripting. What is React and React Native? React Native is a front-end framework that it has React is used to develop front-end websites. Yeah, it's front-end framework. Like it's just like CSS and HTML. It's a framework which is properly defined so that you can complete your websites properly. Yeah.
That I guess, Kaushal, you can stop sharing, and Srijit, you can just give an overview of what our attendees can expect tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep some enthusiasm for tomorrow as well.
Yeah. First of all, it just gives me goosebumps that like whenever a question is raised by Kaushal or Raghav, there is an immediate response. Like I really feel difference between online classes and webinars. Really, I do. So that being said, and funds apart, today we have covered almost every basics of HTML and CSS. Thanks to Raghav, you had a wonderful session about HTML, and Kaushal, you had a wonderful interactive section about CSS as well. And for the next day, we are moving to JavaScript tomorrow. And JavaScript, I can give you non-technically, I can define JavaScript as something that gives life to an HTML page, HTML web page. And you can do literally anything to CSS and to HTML with JavaScript. Literally, you can alter everything inside a web page using JavaScript. So more about that on the next day. And I have one more thing for you. Like I said, I have a bonus thing to show for you for tomorrow's session. So let me just share my screen and show that. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
So this is a website which is designed particularly for this event, And tomorrow we will be telling you how to build a website like this. It's just a model of a portfolio. We just given Google Developer Student Clubs as a title for it, but actually it's a template for portfolio. Tomorrow we will be explaining how this website is built, and guess what? It can be built by just what you learned today. It is completely built with HTML and CSS, no JavaScript used. So tomorrow after JavaScript, we'll be telling you how to build a website like that by explaining each and every line of code used inside it. So that was the bonus tip. And yeah, any more doubts? I can expect a doubt because I'm just gonna start JavaScript tomorrow. So that's the schedule for tomorrow.
For tomorrow, the website that will be built, there's also another follow-up bonus added with it. We at Google Developer Student Clubs are really keen to see all of you flourish with the technologies that we have learned today. Although yes, we know it's the foundation of web development, but one step ahead is still better than staying stagnant. So the website that you'll be building on, we will also be having a small sort of contest on it. And Srijit, you can give a little bit more insight into it and what the benefit
Yeah.
of that can be.
So Abhishek, didn't that surprise you? I'm just worried. Okay, but tomorrow's event you will be knowing about how to create a portfolio, and guess what? We'll be asking you to build a portfolio and push it to ourselves. Like you just push it to our DMs, and so that we will know we will let you know whose is the best. So we'll be having a little competition for who's building a good portfolio from whatever we taught, and we'll be giving a shout out to the winners in our Instagram handles of both the clubs.
So I guess that sums up the day. Thank you so much. And I'm really sure that everybody's psyched to join us tomorrow as well. Thank you, Kaushal. Thank you, Raghav, and thank you, Srijit, for such an interactive and amazing session. I mean, I can see how eager everybody is to join in tomorrow as well. Since we've already, we've moved way past the time, I would really like to close the session. So much everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Arit, for coordinating, and thank you to the speakers for all those lovely, answering all the questions in such friendly way. So I
Yeah, thank
guess
you.
let's see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
The
Bye
link
bye.
the link for tomorrow's session is given in the pinned message. Other than that, you can go find it in the bio of the Insta page of Google DSC VIT Chennai as well as MIET. So ensure to also give a follow to both of us when you do that. With that being said, there was someone asking what they can do for tomorrow. I guess you can just have a recap of what was learned today, because tomorrow is a hands-on session. Today you learned about it, tomorrow we'll be implementing it. With that being said, Dhwani, thank you so much for being such an amazing co-host. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Take care.